Welcome back to another of my journeys with God. Today, God has me speaking about the fact that your gifts should make room for you. So we're going to start with scripture. Proverbs 18:16 states, "A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men." So we're starting with the scripture to start by grounding in the truth of the fact that your gifts are supposed to make room for you and that they will bring you before great men, meaning that they will bring you into the rooms that you may not have otherwise thought that you would be in. They should bring you into opportunities. They should bring you into even more because you've been gifted in these particular areas. So regardless of what somebody thinks you may have, or thinks you should have access to, your gifts will bring you that extra favor that makes space for you in rooms that you may not have even thought that you would end up in. And so with that, the gifts that you are blessed with, pay attention to those things that you're really good at and those things that you enjoy, and be honest with yourself about what those things are. There's so many people that are living life miserably, and I've been there too, because we're working so hard to earn an income, or we're working so hard to please people, or we're working so hard to appear successful, but we're not actually allowing ourselves to use our gifts fully and be in the spaces that God has opened doors for to bring us into, where we could really be acknowledged and receive grace and receive sometimes even the acknowledgement and just the appreciation and the joy of being able to use our gifts to their fullest. So when you're in a space and you are using your gifts, but they're not being acknowledged, it's not getting you into more doors, it's actually doing the opposite. You're being felt like, oh, well, yes, they're seeing that you have these gifts, but they want you to keep them in a corner. Or they want to limit how much you can use your gifts, or they want you to not be able to fully express your gifts, or your gifts are making room for you, but then you're being denied access to those spaces. That is probably not the place for you to be. And again, I say that from experience too. I recognize that I was in a position where I was receiving favor from people, and not so much that, well, really the favor of God, first of all, but not so much that people were necessarily favoring me, but it felt like favor to me in God's favor, because I was being put in rooms where I was being respected in a way that most people that look like me and have the background and the credentials that I have would not be respected. And as a matter of fact, I was warned that being who I am and looking the way that I look, being in those spaces, I would not be respected and I would not be well received up front. But the actual complete opposite happened. And I was very much accepted. I was very much well respected. And yet I was being so respected in these areas that I wasn't able, though, to receive the respect in a way. I actually had to be what would be considered disrespectful to them because of the boundaries that I was actually able to use my gifts. So I believe I have a gift for understanding different people, different cultures. But there's times where people don't want you to be fully embraced in those communities. They don't want you to be fully accepted. They don't want you to get too close. And when that happened, and I felt myself shrinking and I felt my gifts shrinking, that was an indication to me that this is not a space that my gifts are being able to make room for me. So this may not be a space that's for me, because the word tells me, like we just read through in Proverbs, your gifts should make room for you. Your gifts will make room for you and bring you before great men. So if I'm not being allowed to be before great men, if my gifts are not being allowed to make room for me, that is not a place that I want to be. And having felt that, that did not feel like anything that was fruit of the Spirit. It actually felt the complete opposite. Excuse me. So that was an indicator to me that it was time to make a shift. And so the same for you. Really take the time to acknowledge what your gifts are and consider, are you showing up using your gifts fully? And if you're not, is it because you are choosing not to use your gifts and to hone them? Or is it because the spaces that you're using them are shrinking them down, are watering them down, are setting boundaries that don't allow you to express your gifts? If that's the case, there's probably different rooms that you need to be in, right? Different places for you to express your gifts. So, hope this helps you. And until the next one, peace.